I'm gonna log in on Twitch too, just to. There we are. Dope. Oh, I have to watch a SpongeBob commercial. So, what's up, man? How's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
Not too bad. So you're in Minnesota, yeah?
Correct.
How's the weather right now?
It's pretty nice. 45, like sunny. Can't complain. It's I've been here for like almost 4 years now, I
So
think.
you gotten used to the extreme
And
changes,
I mean every other winter was terrible, and it was like really cold up until like a late April. So it being relatively nice in beginning of March is really nice.
nice.
Good
Um,
change.
how did you end up in Minnesota?
So I moved to the U.S. in 2012 from Colombia.
Hmm.
I moved to Tampa to go to school, and then I got a job that in it was in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. Um, and I was there for a little bit, and thankfully that company transferred me to Minneapolis, and I took the opportunity to be in a bigger city as soon as possible, and that's how I ended up here. Yeah, I've
How
been
do you
here
like
now 4 years
how do you
almost.
like Minneapolis?
I like it. I mean, outside of the winter, it's a really nice city. I didn't expect it to be as big and have as much stuff as it does.
Right,
Because I living for Colombia and then in Florida, I honestly had never even like heard of Minneapolis or Minnesota. I had no idea what it was.
right.
I just assumed it was like somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But I like it. It's especially like as an artist, I think it's a good place to start because the scene, at least the house scene, is like really small, and but it's there's enough people that you get to meet people, and it's not like a million different people trying to play shows. So
Right,
it has its pros and cons.
for sure. And you're pretty close to like Detroit and Chicago too, yeah?
uh I mean, Chicago is like a six hour drive, I think, something like that. So I mean, it's doable. Detroit, it's a little harder because you have to basically go across the lake, go like all around it.
Right,
So yeah, no. I mean, I've never done those drives.
nice. So take us back to before you were in college, before you moved from Columbia. What got you started in music?
Um, so I think like one of the sides from my family, I think my mom's side, I knew a little from my dad's side. A lot of not professional musicians, but definitely a lot of people that sang or play guitar and all these things. For example, my mom was in a group when she was young, and they played at a hotel every on the weekends in Colombia. And one time they opened for um, Julio Iglesias, who's
Oh, nice.
Enrique Iglesias' father. He was
Right.
one of the most famous artists back then and stuff. So I think I grew up with that, and then when I was like 10, I really got into like punk music and stuff like that. Or when I was 10, 11. um and I was like, oh, I really want to learn how to play guitar. And then I got a few other friends, and we ended up like making a band, and we even recorded some songs, stuff like Blink 182 and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's when I first really got into music. When we went to the studio, I was like, oh, I really want to learn how to do that, how to record songs and all that. But just being in Colombia, that's kind of a really hard thing to get into,
Right.
especially back then, since we didn't have internet and stuff. Like we didn't have the resources we have now to learn online as much.
Right.
And the options were either go to school for like classical music and you can kind of get into recording, or move to the US and spend a bunch of money on um, going to one of those like private schools for music, which with the it was really really tough. um, but yeah, I mean, I ended up not studying something for music, but I'm kind of glad it worked out the way it did, because now I'm doing music for because it's something I like, and not necessarily because it's like my first stream of income.
Right.
And I kind of like it, how it's working out so far.
For sure. It's nice to have like, especially during these times, it's nice to have like a solid income coming in, and also still have music to fall back on.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so you kind of gave up music for a little while after you moved to the states.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, yeah. So as I said, I was in a band when we were in like middle school, high school. We were recording some songs. We played a few shows and stuff. We were still kind of young to be playing shows, but we were playing a few shows at like some local bars. The rock scene is definitely super small where I'm from.
Right.
Um, and I moved to the US to study, and pretty much fully had like given up on music. Um, and then I think it was like one semester that I kind of started going to shows and going to like concerts and stuff like that, and that's when I was like, damn, I can't believe I had abandoned this. And that's where I was like downloaded Ableton or something, and I was like, okay, now I really need to learn how to do this, because I really want to be making my own stuff and playing it out and all that.
What was the first dance music show you went to?
I think in Tampa, we like the first big one I remember was a Sunset Music Festival in Tampa.
Oh, right.
That was like my first festival or anything like that, and yeah, I remember like really liking Oliver Heldens back then. It was like
Oh,
one of the main headliners. It was like 2013 or 14, something like that.
oh, the big Future House days
Yeah, yeah. That it was like Oliver Heldens and maybe Chami was like playing in one of the smaller stages.
before he was huge.
Yeah, yeah. That's like right at the beginning.
Did you get exposed to much electronic music when you were in Colombia?
A little bit. But I remember I used to really like listening to like MGMT and stuff like that. Not necessarily on the like EDM side, more on like the electronica side of
Right.
a little more like pop or like rock with like electronic influences. But I never really like got fully into house music um, until I started going to those first shows in Tampa.
Nice. And how quickly after you started going to shows did you decide that you wanted to produce?
Um, it was probably within the year. I mean, I had before tried using like Fruity Loops or something when I was very young, to like record like one of our songs or something, but I never really learned it. Um, so I think it was after that, like a year after one of the shows, and that I started downloading stuff, trying to learn it, but I didn't take it serious for a while. And actually wasn't until I first moved to Minnesota that I started thinking that I could really take it seriously and spend my a good amount of time on it, and um, kind of like set some goals and make sure that I was doing sorry, stuff to improve as an artist.
Right. And was it house music to start, or did you kind of like move yourself through a bunch of different things?
No, I mean, it was definitely like my biggest influence at the beginning was, like as I said, like future house stuff, like Oliver Heldens and some of that stuff maybe. And then I really got into some bass house stuff for a while, and some. I had like one moment that I was like really into like dubstep, but that was a really short phase. And then after that, I'm trying to think. I think there was like I don't know, one moment that I just completely stopped listening to all those other like genres like trap, dubstep, and all that, and I was just like only listening to like, I don't know. It was probably like Chris Lake that was like the first time that I really got into like this kind of scene.
Right.
Back with like, um, I don't know, like Operator or one of those tracks, I think.
And do you think that your like background in music from like childhood, your parents having music all around, and then also you working in bands contributed to like the speed of the of success that you had when you started this new project?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it all helps. Having like those influences, and I always try to put a little bit of my background in my songs, even if it's just a little bit. I always try to think like, how can I make this song, like maybe like a little Latin, little, try to throw in some of that stuff, or so it all definitely helped, having some of the musical background, having some of the ideas of how, what makes a song good, how to make like a good like a catchy songs. And so it definitely helped a lot, because I didn't have to go through some of those, like training your ear to listen to stuff, and it definitely helped.
For sure. But I saw you tweeted a little while ago that you still have like a reference for all of your scales on your desktop.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know music theory that well. Yeah, I just use references all the time. So I have all my like scales in the in my desktop. The only folder I have is just a folder with like all the scales. That way I can just pull it up when I'm like working on a track. Because I've never played piano, and whenever I played guitar, it was in like playing like pop covers or pop punk cover, like Blink 182 and stuff
Right.
like that. So it was like playing like three power chords. So it wasn't very deep, music theory wise.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about music is it's it's so easy now to pick up a computer and get started that as long as you have a pretty good ear, you can kind
Yeah,
of figure it out.
yeah, and there's so many, um, tutorials and like big producers. Like I was, I've been doing pandemic. I was watching a lot of like Disclosure.
Yeah,
And
he's
it was crazy to me that like Disclosure was going in and just straight up showing everything that they did, because I don't think I've ever seen somebody that big, with like such a like recognized sound, just go in and like basically give away like all their secrets and how they did everything,
um
which is pretty crazy.
no, absolutely. Actually, I think one of the most interesting things I learned from watching those disclosure streams is how simple some of their first that first album was. And they showed the mix down for one song, and that the song wasn't even really mixed down to begin with. It
Mhm.
was just like they threw a bunch of things together and it just worked. So they were like, "All right, this is what we're gonna do," and it ended up working.
Yeah,
Um, and I think it's interesting to see like an artist whose process. I mean, for artists who's like massive like that, have such a simplistic process, or just be like, "Oh, well, this sounds good, so I don't have to do anything to it."
yeah. And their first album, it was like all just like stock plugins, and like stock sounds just from Logic, I think, which just shows that you don't really need you know all the additional stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What does your studio look like? Is it pretty complicated, or are you using everything in the box, or do you have a bunch of
No,
crazy synths?
I do almost everything in the box. The only analog synth I have is one of the Behringer 303s,
Oh, nice.
TD3. Um, I cycle through, because I produce out of our bedroom with my wife, so we don't have a lot of space for like having a huge massive synth wall and all. But I like cycling through them. I'll have like one synth for like 6 months, and then I'll
Yeah.
sell it, and then I'll get a different one. Work on it, record it as much as I can for a while, and then get rid of it, and kind of cycle through it. But 99% of the time is just on the computer, and I just have a like a launch key keyboard. Um, that's pretty much it, and then Ableton, uh, for my DAW of preference.
What other synths have you cycled through in the past few years?
I had a Minilog XD. which I regret selling because that one was actually really good, and I should have just stuck with that one because that one can just pretty much do anything. I had that one, and I also had the Model D from Behringer, like
Oh, nice.
their copy of the Model D,
Right.
and that was the first one I had, and that wasn't too long ago, so I've only done those three so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your current project, the Contribe thing. Um, how did you land on that name?
Well, it actually, the name was something that I was thinking about for years. Like even before I had like finished my full track. I don't know, just so like undecisive, and all the time I was thinking like, what's a good name? What's a good name? Um, just thinking something good, and I couldn't come up with anything, like literally. But then 2019, I set my goal. I think it was like December, and I went back home to Colombia, and I said, okay, my goal for before New Year's, I'm gonna have a name, and then if I don't have anything, I'll just choose the last word or something. Um, so I heard somewhere like on a show, I heard the word contrive like with a V, and I had no idea what it was, so I googled it just to like find the definition. um, and I thought it was something interesting. It's like about like creating something. Sometimes it has like a bad connotation, I think, but I don't really know much about the word. But I just thought it kind of sounded cool, and I like how when you say like contribe, like with a B, it's kind of like a tribe. Kind of like you and your followers, or just like people enjoying music. And then I also like the fact that it starts with like CO, like Colombia, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense. There's a few things, but the main thing was also I wanted something that was like optimized for like Googling. So I just made sure it
that
wasn't
yours
like
old.
any other like big artists or something that had the name or a bunch of stuff. So if it would be easy for me to like show up on social media, relatively.
Nice. And I mean, you've had like a pretty remarkable amount of success um, for somebody who seemingly has only been doing this for a little while. Everybody knows that there's like, all this time that goes into your success prior to you breaking
Yeah.
out. But like this specific project, you just started. What was it like 18 months ago? Because I saw that you tweeted in like December of last year that the Contribe project was only a year old at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I started, I made it public in, I think March of last year. So it's pretty much been a year. Because I mean, I settled on the name Contribe in December of 2019.
Hmm.
And then I think January or February was the first time that I started sending out my tracks to labels. I worked with somebody here in Minneapolis.
Hmm.
He's a producer. He makes like deep dubstep. So he really helped me out. How to get started, and he kind of thanks to him is why instead of you know starting my project whenever, he was like, make sure you have a pretty solid few 3-4 tracks before you start and make your project public. And I think that really helped because by the time I started, I think I had already signed one track to Dirty Bird. And thus so it really helped to get started and have my name show up in a few places right from the start.
For sure. And so, was it your first record that you released that got signed to Dirty Bird?
Yeah, yeah, my first original. I did like a remix for I have a friend that makes he's an artist in LA. He just sings like pop songs and stuff like that. And I had released a remix for him that came out on Spotify at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
But my first original track, yeah, was with the one with Dirty Bird.
that's like a huge signing to start off with. How'd you hook up with Dirty Bird? Because I know it's sometimes it can take a really long time for them to get back to people in their inbox, and of course, I mean thousands of people send their tracks all the
Yeah.
time. So how did you make that happen?
Um, So I mean, I honestly wouldn't have believed that they would have signed it, because I was so new and all. But my friend was friends with Two Tails because he used to live in Minneapolis, and he's back here again. Um, so he connected me with Two Tails, who had released on Dirty Bird, and he was well known in the scene. He came to Minneapolis, so I sent him my songs. He opened for Claude here,
Right.
and he played a couple of them, and he told me like, hey, you need to send them to Dirty Bird. Um, so I sent them. That was like in January. No, yeah, in January, and then right at the beginning of the pandemic, they replied, saying they wanted the song. I think it was a combination of Two Tails telling me you have to send these, and then also because the pandemic has started, and Dirty Bird, they were like, okay, we need to start releasing more music, so they probably started looking for more records, and trying to stay more consistent with releases. So that's another side that definitely helped.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, I mean, it's not easy to get signed to Dirty Bird, but that's remarkable that you were able to get your first record on there. And then you moved on to Psycho Disco, which is again another fabulous label run by a legend. Um, how'd you hook up with them? Was that on the back of the Dirty Bird release, or was that somebody you just happened to reach out to
um
as well?
it was let me see, how did I mean, also kind of similar, because I had that song, and Two Tails also, he told me to send it to them. So I sent it, and then I think him and I had another friend that I've also met, just through music, Mike Fly.
Yeah,
Um, he was also released there, so I told him I had sent a track to Psycho Disco, so I think he had reached out to Molly, or maybe to Ash or something, and then they checked it out, and they really liked it, and it got picked for that compilation last year, and that was actually the first track that I like fully completed. That I was like, okay, that was the first track that I finished, and that's the point where I said, okay, I need to, you know, create this artist thing, and make it public, and that's kind of the song that started it all. Even though it came out later, I actually finished it before all the other ones that have come out.
nice. And with both of those labels, they both have kind of a family vibe going on. You've kind of created a relationship with them. You've played multiple times on their streams. Um, and with Psycho Disco, you've even been like featured on So So Fed, which is Molly's cooking
Yeah.
show. How'd that work out? Talk to me about making drinks and like why that's a thing now, because you're not like a bartender by trade, right?
No, no, I've never done that. But after I've done this, I really took like another level of appreciation for people that do that, because um, just making one drink, it's something easy. But if you think these people are making something like thousands of drinks a night, and it's taking a lot of appreciation for that. But basically, I've always been into making drinks, or just having like good cocktails at certain places. And I think a couple years ago, my wife gave me a cocktail set, for like Christmas, and a little cocktail book. And I probably used it a few times, like two or three times, in the first year I had it, and then during the pandemic, since we weren't going to bars or anything, I started. I think probably from watching YouTube videos of there's some big like cocktails YouTubers. They make cocktails. I was like, okay, I want to make some of these at home. And then since March of last year, started collecting a few bottles here and there, since we weren't going out and spending money at bars. And really got into it. I've read a couple books, and then since we're not going out, me and my wife will have a couple of cocktails on Friday or something like that. So and it's kind of also a for me, I see it also as a like a creative thing outside of music, coming up with a drink, because there was a time that I was really like creatively blocked with music. So I was spending a lot of of time on that, on making drinks and finding out about them. And then when I started streaming this year, I was like, okay, I might as well combine these two things that I like: cocktails and music, and just make drinks live and play. And then also with Molly, since they do the cooking show, um, and she saw that I was making drinks, she invited me to come over and on the stream and make some drinks every once in a while.
What would you say is your signature cocktail?
So it's I make a drink with mezcal and ginger. It's similar to like a Moscow mule,
Uh huh.
but with mezcal. So it's technically like a mezcal mule. Um, but I add a few other things, but it's really good. I think I made it on the Social Fed stream once. And I'm thinking I might start doing like cocktail tutorials on Instagram, on like reels or something like that. I just haven't had the equipment to make something that looks really good, but I've been planning on doing something like that.
Nice. I'd love to see that, man. I'd love to see that. So let's talk about. I have something for you. You got a little hot take that you tweeted about somebody from Friends. You said that Ross is the funniest character of all time.
I think so, yeah.
Um, I like 50% agree with you, but why do you think he's so funny?
I mean I honestly think he's the best actor. Um, I mean, I think like the character is like shit. It's like the worst person out of all of them.
Oh,
Like
he's
if you
shitty.
He's the worst for sure. He's the worst, but just it's just like his like what is that called? I don't know what that's called, but just like his faces and his reactions, and like you can tell that he's the one that like really takes the scenes like really seriously. Like even if it's something silly, like he takes it super seriously to make it like as silly as possible.
Oh no, his physical comedy is like second to
Yeah,
none.
that's what I meant. Yeah, the physical comedy. Yeah,
Yeah,
then and it's just like when I think about like the funniest moments, it's like Ross when he like has like his like leather pants on the floor, or like
yes.
the or it's like any of the funniest moments. It's always something with Ross, honestly. That
Yeah,
or like pivot, any
that's
those are the things I remember.
that's totally true. What other TV shows are you into right now? Everybody seems to have a lot more time to like be digesting content. I know it's
Yeah.
not all music.
Um. I love the Office. I probably watched it a million times. Also, um, like the Office and Friends is like there are shows that when it's like at night and we just want to put something on the TV, just so it's like not quiet. We just put Friends or The Office usually.
Same.
Um, but I don't know. I usually um, I don't know. Lately I've been really into watching football, like soccer, in Europe, which I had kind of abandoned. But lately I've been really into watching some like Premier League and Champions League stuff. And I don't know. Lately, I really just like watching some stuff on YouTube that I find interesting. I just haven't really been watching new shows in a while.
Nice. And music wise, I know you had a release on OKNF today.
Yeah,
That I downloaded already. It's a banger. You got
nice.
two tracks on there by yourself, and there's one that's a collab. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so yeah, it's two tracks that I wrote last year. Um, and so yeah, one of them's actually one of my best friends. He like we've always joked with him because he has like a radio voice.
Right.
So he like recorded himself saying random like radio stuff on his phone and sent it to me, and I made a song with that, and that was pretty funny. And he actually has a his first kid was born today, and the song came out today, so it was kind of
Oh,
a
that's
cool
awesome.
coincidence. Yeah.
I heard that song, and I actually thought that stuff was sampled from the radio.
Right, it's like he has like a radio voice, so it's really funny. I always make fun of him for that, but that was pretty fun. And then the other one, Start Moving, was a collaboration with Noise Club. It's a producer from Brazil, and I uh, connected with him because he had also released on like Bird Feet, similar to me, like around the same time.
Right.
So we had like both reach out to each other, like, hey, like, like our your tracks, and he liked my tracks, so we got that. Oh, sorry, that track started.
It's all good.
The light like turned green out of nowhere.
And then, do you have anything else coming up? Like, what's on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so I have, yeah, so that EP came out, and so far I have a couple of tracks that are coming out this year that I don't have a firm schedule yet, and I haven't really announced anything else yet. But I do have a couple of tracks. I have one that I'm really excited about, and it's called Gin and Tonic. So
Oh, nice,
it's about cocktails,
perfect,
and that'll probably be coming out this summer on a super super really dope label, and I'm really just super excited about it. And then other than that, I had been kind of saving a lot of my tracks to start sending out to like labels again around this time, just because I didn't want to be releasing a lot of music right now, because I kind of wanted to wait for to be able to start playing shows and all that. So
right,
um, I am just sitting on a lot of demos that I have to get sending over soon, and hopefully the second half of the year I'll have a bunch of stuff coming out.
nice. Um, Excited about shows coming back sometime in the next time.
Yeah, I'm super optimistic. I mean, I definitely want to wait till it's definitely safe. You know, Thankfully Minnesota has been pretty good with their guidelines and all the stuff that they're doing. So the few shows that they have here are generally pretty safe. But I'm definitely gonna try and wait till it's like really really safe. And now that it's getting warmer here, and we're gonna be able to play shows outside, I think that'll help, because right now it's just cold, so you can only make shows inside. You can't really have drive-ins or anything like that. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Relatively warmer compared to the rest of the country, of course.
yeah, exactly. Because since I started Contribe, the literally I started, and like 2 weeks later the pandemic hit. And then during the summer, I had one chance to play a show, which was Gene Farris came and played at a brewery. So it was a pretty small show outdoors on a Saturday in the summer.
Nice.
And that's really the only like show I've played, and it was just a few, just a few people. So I haven't really had the chance to actually play in front of a real crowd.
Well, now that things are starting to open up and you've had some big releases, hopefully that means that she'll be able to have more opportunities to play some bigger gigs too.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I'm definitely excited, and just to travel around and get to meet get to meet you and get to meet everybody else that we just met virtually this year.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a big year of making friends on the internet, which um, as much as I'd love to see people in person, I can't lie. It's been nice to be able to connect with a bunch of different people. I feel like I've met more people this year than I have in previous years, in like Twitch rooms and like just over Twitter and and on different social media. So it's been interesting. But I'm excited to get back to regular life.
Yeah. I mean, definitely that's one of the positives from last year. Just connecting to people. Uh, yeah, on just Twitch, Discord, Instagram. Just because, I mean, and even some of the bigger artists have been like easier to connect with, just because they have like doing private lessons and doing streams, and doing stuff that you can get your name out there pretty easily with even some of the really big guys. So
Yeah, for
I guess
sure.
that was a positive.
And Twitch has been big for you, yeah.
I mean, Twitch. So I basically, like, for my personal Twitch, I just started this year, because last year I didn't have a controller, or I didn't have the equipment to do streams.
Right.
So I started this year, just kind of slowly. I was kind of thinking, uh, might as well practice DJing, just so I'm really ready for when the time comes for shows. So might as well do it on stream and have fun, and mostly to just play and it also is a opportunity for like my friends back home to watch me, and we can chat, even if some friends that I haven't chatted with in a while.
Nice.
So that's kind of been the big thing for me. And as I said, I make cocktails, so it ends up being like a fun Saturday, Friday night activity while we're stuck at home.
Nice. And can you what's your Twitch? So everybody in the chat can
It's
follow you.
let me just comment on Twitch.
Yeah, throw it up.
It's just at Contribe Music.
There we go. And are you at Contribe Music and all socials?
Yep, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Facebook, yeah, everything.
Everybody make sure to throw my man a follow. He's a dope
Thank you.
producer. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's always fun having friends on the stream, and I'm here every Thursday from 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, thank you so much for having me. They're really fun, and looking forward to the next shows and all that, and looking forward to your music as well. Do you have any stuff coming out soon or anything?
I do. So I have an EP on OFDM coming out
Nice.
at the end of this month. I think 2 weeks, 2 weeks from Friday, and that's actually going out on promo this Friday. So if you happen to be on there, like in flight, you'll be getting that.
I think I think I am, yeah.
And I'll send it to you anyways. I'll just shoot you a DM with the release. And then I have a few releases on Brooklyn Fire later this year that haven't been that are getting scheduled right now. And then I have another couple that are in the hands of labels that I'm talking to. We just haven't confirmed anything yet, but things are we're just kind of doing the whole back and forth. And then I have a couple of really cool streams coming up. There's so many things. I hate this because there's things that I want to announce, but I can't because it's not time yet. But I have some really cool stuff coming up, so I'm excited about this.
That's
year
awesome.
Too. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Send me any tracks you have.
Yeah, no doubt.
Play it out on the streams.
You too, man. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming through. My name's Alex Amaro. You've been here with Contribe. Peace. Have a great day.
I just saw a question on the on the Twitch. What's my soccer club?
Nice.
It's Barcelona, which in the last few years it's normally been a sad thing, but yesterday was a really happy day for a Barcelona fan.
Nice. What's your club, Billy? Throw it up if you're watching football, the real football, not the one that doesn't use feet. Well, alrighty.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
All right, dude. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.